workshop with women in leadership. And one of the conversations we had was around the essential emotional intelligence skills that are required for effective leadership. And we had such an interesting conversation, and these women came up with a fantastic list of 13 skills that I thought I would share with you. Number 1, reading the room. Now, when you've developed your emotional intelligence skills, it means that you can reflect quite effectively in the moment on how people are engaging with your information. So, are they getting aggressive? Are they getting upset? Are they confused? Are they empowered by what you're saying? When you have developed your emotional intelligence skills, you're able to read the room and adapt your communication accordingly. Number 2, you're able to be rational with those around you and self-regulate. A common mistake that I see leaders make in their communication is that they regret how they've handled the conversation and the communication in the moment. They've either been too aggressive and defensive, they've been overly emotive, they've been passive and apologetic and giving in, or they felt like they've had to make a decision in the moment, rather than giving things some reflective time before making a decision. When you've enhanced your emotional intelligence skills, you're able to take an approach that is assertive, communicating what you want and what you need in a way that's professional and emotionally intelligent, and is the right response for the situation and engaging the right response for the right result. Number 3, it's more than just data. Now, what I mean by that is that emotional intelligence takes in more than just the facts and the figures and the finance and the outcomes. It's also about taking into consideration the ethics and the values, whether that's personally or for your business, and incorporating that into some of the key business decisions that you need to make as a leader. Number 4, being aware of self. Now, a common mistake that people make about emotional intelligence is it's all about understanding the emotions of others, but it's also about understanding your own emotions, what may trigger you in certain situations, what behavior, words, or circumstances could trigger a response in you. And if you know what your hot buttons are, then you're able to better prepare for difficult conversations or adapt with courage in the moment. Number 5, preparing for difficult conversations. As a workplace mediator, this is something I'm often doing with participants. I'm getting them to reflect on how they're feeling about certain situations, where people may have crossed the line, and what they need to consider. What assumptions are they making? Difficult conversations don't just need to be about conflict either. Difficult conversations can be about addressing someone's behavior, asking for a pay rise, or having to deal with some tense or risky situations. When you've developed your emotional intelligence, you're able to be more grounded and more prepared as you go into those conversations. Number 6, influence people's decisions. Now, quite often what we're seeing is only the surface, but if we can better understand how people are feeling and why they're responding in certain ways, then we're able to be more influential in the conversation. So people could say one thing, but actually it's triggered from a position of stress, fear, uncertainty. There can be a whole range of things going on. And with emotional intelligence, we can understand that person in that environment, in that situation, and adapt accordingly to influence them. And that influence could be around their performance or in stakeholder negotiations. It's useful to understand where people are coming from. Number 7, thinking deeper. One of the best things that a leader can do is have a practice of mindfulness. Now, mindfulness is about looking at things from different perspectives, considering alternatives, walking in another man's shoes, considering that things might need to change, or looking at the variables that are influencing the situation. And emotional intelligence supports us to be more mindful thinkers and make decisions that are far more strategic. Taking criticism and feedback. Look, I know there's nothing worse than being criticised when you've made a mistake, you haven't operated well, things haven't gone to plan, or you've let someone down. And we can get really defensive or apologetic, and it can hurt sometimes. Once you sit with the grief, once you can identify what you're feeling and name that response, we're then able to be reflective. And with emotional intelligence, this is really important for a leader, because it is only through mistakes that you are inevitably going to have that you can actually learn and grow. So emotional intelligence is vital for that growth component. Managing conflict. Whether you're in the conflict or you're mediating the conflict of others, it's about understanding what people may be assuming about you, about the situation, about the conversation, what may be triggering that response. Once again, where have people crossed the line? Where have people had to compromise? And sometimes we can go into conflict conversations assuming what people are thinking about us or what people thought about a situation. But if we can look at things from a different perspective and apply that mindfulness, we may consider that there is an alternative. And rather than going from a position of combative, we go into it as in a position of curious. And so we want to encourage that in others that we may be mediating as well. Managing others' emotions. Once again, if we know how others are feeling, then we're able to manage their emotions. So are they fearful? Are they lacking in confidence? Are they stressed? Are they overprotective? If you know that there's likely to be a certain response or that is typical of their behavior, you're able to modify your own behavior to support them and thereby manage their emotions, perhaps calming them down or firing them up, depending on what's needed in the situation. Number 11, you'll know how to approach different people. With emotional intelligence, you're able to understand people's different styles of communication and behavior. Now, my favorite is the DISC model. I'm accredited in extended DISC and love being able to see the different approaches that people will take in different situations. But you don't need to do that to improve your emotional intelligence. You can reflect on different ways that people like to communicate or behave in certain situations. Where may they need to stretch? Where may they be challenged? And where are they different to you? Being truthful, authentic, and vulnerable. These components are essential for a leader. When you're emotionally aware, you're able to be true to your own feelings. The best thing that a leader can do is be honest about their own mistakes and their own weaknesses. Being transparent around that builds trust and rapport with the people you need to lead. Vulnerability can actually be quite a powerful trait for a leader. So being able to be aware of your own emotions, you're better able to be authentic, to be vulnerable, and to be truthful. A leader needs to be consistent. Number 13 is about being consistent. If you're able to self-regulate, to be reflective, to be mindful, then you're going to be consistent. For your team to feel psychologically safe, they need to know that you will respond in certain ways to different things or different situations, and you can create consistency, which makes them feel safe to be able to present to you things that they're challenged with, things that they're concerned about, safely debate or own their mistakes as well. So by being consistent, you're able to be an effective leader, and you can only do that with enhanced emotional intelligence skills. Now, I've just shared with you 13 key skills that you might find useful, that you may want to develop or enhance on your leadership journey. But I'm curious to hear from you about what emotional intelligence skills you think are essential for effective leadership.